Good morning. We're going to be continuing with the lesson on multiplying decimals. Yesterday we used the area model and we created grids and colored in the amount of squares that we needed to demonstrate the multiplication. Today we're going to be actually using the process of multiplication to find our answers. So here we go. What we are learning. Today, we will learn how to multiply decimals by whole numbers. Why are we learning this? Well, decimals and fractions are related. We use decimals whenever we use money. Decimals, like fractions, is a life skill. How will we know we have learned this? Well, we will be able to multiply a decimal by a whole number and correctly place the decimal point using the examples on page 58. That you will be working on a little bit later in the lesson. Problem of the day. In your math packet for the next lesson, which is going to start on page 53, take a look at the problem of the day. Your page may be a little bit different. Let me make sure I'm giving you the right number. Okay, no, it's not 53, it's page 27. Okay, first two pages are what we did with the grids, page 27. And in the problem of the day, I want you to write this division problem. Divide 15 by 2 1/2. Label the dividend, the divisor, and the quotient. Complete the work in the problem of the day at the top of the page. Oops, let me fix this here. Page 27 in your math packet. Okay, you have 2 minutes. So work on that quietly. Stop the video here and we'll check back in 2 minutes. Okay? Now, I have 15 as my dividend. And when you label them, that would have been the dividend. And 2 1/2 would be the divisor. And when you divided 15 by 2 1/2, you would have changed 2 1/2 to an improper fraction. It would have been 5 halves. And when you were using the multiplicative inverse, you would have changed 15 to multiplication and used the reciprocal for the divisor. And you would have ended up with 15 times 2, which is 30, and 1 times 5, which is 5. And your quotient, 5 goes into 30 6 times. 6 is your quotient. Okay, so hopefully that's what you also had on your problem that you got for your answer. And now we're going to take a look at the 2 vocabulary words that we're going to be focusing on. And the first one is factors. And factors are numbers that are multiplied together and create a product. And a product is the solution to a multiplication problem. So looking at your terms, factors and product, 15, actually for multiplication, 15 and 2/5 would be your factors, and your product would be eventually the 6. So now, structured guided practice. Actually, before we get to that one, I want to do some work with you. And this is the part where you put your pencils down. You are not writing anything in your notebook. You're following what I'm doing and thinking about what I'm doing, so that when it's your turn, you will be able to then multiply using the same process. So I'm going to have 132 and 6/10 times 4. Now, one thing I noticed when I wrote this down is I did not line up this 4 by the decimal point here. This is a whole number. This is not 4/10, this is the number 4. But when I'm multiplying decimals, I am not lining up decimal points. I'm going to reposition my decimal point after, but I'm not lining them up. Okay, so now I'm going to just multiply. 6 times 4 is 24. I'm going to put the 4, carry the 2. 2 times 4 is 8, plus 2 more is 10. Put the 0, carry the 1. 3 times 4 is 12, plus 1 more is 13. 3, carry the 1. 1 times 4 is 4, and 1 more is 5. So I have my multiplication done. But now I'm looking at, I have a decimal here. And how am I going to know where to put the decimal point? Well, I'm going to underline the 6. And I'm going to look at how many numbers are underlined after the decimal point. And I just have the 6. So I'm going to start at the 4, and I'm going to move to the left 1 place. And that's where I'm going to position my decimal point. So I have 530 and 4/10 as my answer. So now I'm going to think about a word problem. And I have a train ride to work, and it costs me $6.47 each day. How much would it cost to ride the train to work for 32 days? So 1 day cost $6.47, and every day to ride the train to work, it's going to be $6.47. And I want to ride the train for 32 days. So I'm going to think about the 2 factors that I have here. And one of my factors is money, and it's the $6.47. The other factor is the days, and that's 32 days. So how am I going to work this out? What am I going to do to come up with my answer? Well, I'm going to multiply $6.47 times 32. So I'm multiplying money by the number of days. My other alternative is I could add $6.47 32 times, but to me that seems like a lot of effort. I don't know that I want to do that. So 7 times 2 is 14. 4, carry the 1. 4 times 2 is 8, plus 1 more is 9. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, I've finished multiplying by the 2. I'm now going to multiply by the 3, but actually it represents the tens place. So I'm really representing multiplying by a 30. 3 times 7 is 21. I'm going to carry the 2. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 2 more is 14. And carry the 1. 6 times 3 is 18. 1 more is 19. And again, I did not line up the 32 on this side of the decimal point. I'm not lining up my numbers when I multiply them by the decimal point. I'm going to add. We have 4. 9 plus 1 is 10. 4 plus 2 is 6. 1 more is 7. 9 plus 1 is 10. Carry the 1. 1 plus 1 is 2. And I'm going to go to my decimal point and I'm going to underline the 2 numbers after the decimal point. And that's going to help me reposition where my decimal point is going to go. So I'm going to start at the 4 and I'm going to move 1, 2 places and reposition my decimal point here. Now, since I was looking at money, my answer has to also be money. How much is it going to cost me for 32 days to ride the train to work? It's going to be $207.04. Okay, so things to think about. When I lined up my multiplication problems, I did not line my numbers up by the decimal point. I just wrote them as if they were numbers, and I counted how many numbers came after the decimal point. That's how many places I moved my decimal point to the left when I was finished. Now, we're going to try some guided group work. Okay, and this is page 28 in your book. So now you're going to pick up your pencil and we're going to work these problems together. So I have 362 and 4/10 times 3. Okay, and again, I did not line up the 3 with the whole numbers. I just put it right under the 4. I'm ignoring the decimal point right now. I'm just going to multiply. 4 times 3 is 12. 2 times 3 is 6. 1 more is 7. 6 times 3 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 3 is 9, and 1 more is 10. Now, I'm going to go back to the decimal point, and I'm going to count how many numbers, and I'm going to underline those numbers that come after the decimal point. And there's only a 4. I only have 1 digit. So I'm going to start at the 2, and I'm going to move 1 place to the left and reposition my decimal point. Okay? Make sure that's what you have written down on yours. And now, we have a word problem. Andy brought 14 bags of candy to share with his class. Each bag weighs 1 48/100 ounces. What was the total weight of the candy? Well, I'm going to look at my 2 numbers, and I'm going to write 1 48/100. I'm going to multiply that by 14. Work with your partner on this and do your multiplication. Determine where you're going to place your decimal point and then explain your thinking in solving the problem. Okay? Have 2 minutes on that one and go. Okay, and if you got 20 and 72 hundredths ounces, you were correct. And explaining your thinking, what you may have said or discussed is, I underlined the 4 and the 8 after the decimal point, and I knew I needed to move my decimal point 2 places to the left. Yeah. Oh, it's the same problem. So now this one has Julissa is making 26 bracelets. Each bracelet needs 5 and 25 hundredths inches of string. How many inches of string does Julissa need to create all 26 bracelets? Well, I'm going to look at the fact that I have 3 digits here. So I'm going to put 5 and 25 hundredths. And I'm going to multiply that by 26. Okay, so go ahead and work together with your partner. Come up with an answer. And be ready to explain your thinking. Take 2 minutes. Pause here. And come back in 2 minutes' time, ready to share. Okay? And if you have 136 and 5/10 inches needed, you are correct. Okay, and the last one I want you to try is 246 and 8/10 times 5. Go ahead and work this out. Discuss it with your partner. You have 2 minutes and we'll check back in after that time. And go. Okay? And if you got 1,234, you are absolutely correct. Now, you are going to work together beginning on page 58, and you're going to complete numbers 1 through 6. Your homework for tonight is problem of the week. Okay, good luck, and I will see you tomorrow.